Welcome to this presentation. We are discussing column piping and layout, and this is the fifth part. We have already covered four parts. In last presentation we have covered platform and ladder arrangement and column piping concepts. Okay, in this presentation we'll try to cover supporting and flexibility requirements, then operation and maintenance requirements. So let's start with the first part. So in this slide, what we have tried to cover: column piping, support and flexibility requirements. Okay, so if you see, pipe support shall be designed during planning the nozzle orientation. So why we are trying to cover in this presentation is support and flexibility aspects, because this is a kind of part of nozzle orientation. If we are finalizing our supporting arrangement of all the piping, in that case we have to plan the clip supports on column surface. Okay, so that should be done parallel to the nozzle orientation activity. Okay, so that's why this is a very important part. Pipe routing and platform ladder arrangement to avoid interference and obstruction for passageway. Okay, so once this piping is planned, interference is avoided, ladders are arranged, we can plan support locations. Okay, line coming to and from column should be grouped together for ease of common supporting. Okay, now if we are planning something to support on this surface, we cannot have a staggered arrangement, one support for one line, another support for other line. Okay, we need to group all these lines together and we can plan common support. Provide adequate space between backhoe pipe and column shell for installation of pipe support. Now these are not common pipe supports. We need to weld pipe support clips with the vessel. So that information will be passed on to vendor, and vendor will supply all these things along with the vessel. Then only we can hang our supports on the shell side. Support clip location does not coincide with the shell and weld lines. Suppose we have finalized our support location here, and while making the shell arrangement, vendor says okay, my weld lines are coming here, so sometime we have to rearrange our supporting arrangement. Okay, so all these things will be finalized when vendor says okay. Okay, so that's why we have to prepare this information in advance while we are doing the nozzle orientation, and we have to pass that information to vendor. Once vendor confirms okay, these are not coinciding with the weld lines, then only that layout is freezed. Okay, so let us look at a few of the cases where by using these arrangements we can finalize our supporting arrangement. Okay, R is a rest support, G is a guide support. If line is going down here, we can plan this kind of supporting arrangement in advance before giving it to stress. Okay, so this is H by 2. If possible, minimize. We have to, that means we have to provide first rest support as close as possible. Okay, so that there are lesser nozzle loads on nozzle. And we can go for this kind of arrangement also. If we need to add some flexibility, we can go for this kind of arrangement also. H by 2, and this also we need to minimize, but with required flexibility. Same is the case here. First support will be rest support, and it should be as close as possible to the nozzle. Okay, so this is the basic layout which we need to follow while planning our supporting arrangement. Here we have captured few points which we need to take care for operation and maintenance access. Accessibility of connection from ladder and platforms, which we have already discussed. We provide ladders and platform to provide access to valves, instruments and internals. So this is the basic requirement. Internal accessibility through shell, manhole, handholds or removal section of the tray. Now we are providing manhole here, and we are providing a platform below that. Why we are providing that platform? So that we can go inside and do the maintenance part inside the column. Ladder should be properly oriented to ensure straight direct escape route from top to bottom. Okay, in case of emergency, if operator has to go down from topmost platform, so arrangement should be such that there should not be operator should not face any kind of problem while exiting in case of emergency. First ladder at grade should be preferably oriented towards access side of the column. Okay, wherever we are having access, suppose this side we are having proper access from road side, then first ladder we try to locate that side. That is not a mandatory requirement, but it's a good practice. Column maintenance is usually limited to removal of exterior items. For example, relief valves, this kind of release valve which we are locating at top of platform, or any kind of instruments, control valves, and interior components. For example, tray and packing rings, which will be always inside the column. We can enter through manual and do the maintenance part. Handling of these items is achieved by fixed devices, that is davit or trolley beams. If you see, this is the kind of davit we are having. Okay, this is supplied by vendor only. Equipment mounted LED davits. These are the arrangement. This kind of davits will be there at top, so that this will be rotated. This can be rotated, and we can lower the items through this, and we have a drop zone area. We can drop in that area also. So davits or beams are located at top of the column, accessible from a platform, and designed to lower the heaviest removable item to a specific dropout area at grade. Any internal or anything which we want to lower from column to the grade level, we use all these davits and beams. So these are the few things which we need to take care while providing operational maintenance access. So in this presentation, in this column piping and layout, what we have covered: distillation operation, we try to understand how this column is working, what are the various inputs required to do the column layout. Typical column layout, we try to understand what are kind of plan and elevation views, how we can decide the bottom tangent elevation. Then understanding tower internals, what kind of tray arrangement and different passes are there. Then we try to understand all kind of nozzles, whatever they are on column, manhole feed nozzles, then reboiler nozzles, connections at top and bottom, then instrument connections. So we try to understand what kind of nozzles are there, so that we can do the orientation for any kind of column. Platform arrangement, we try to learn few basic thumb rules, so that we can plan the column orientation. Supporting and flexibility requirements, which are part of nozzle orientation only. These two things we need to do parallelly. Then we try to understand what are the operation and maintenance aspects. So this was all about this video, and we have tried to cover many things related to column piping. Okay. In next part, we'll try to understand, we'll start our discussion on pipe rack. Okay, so see you in the next part.